Hi everyone, I welcome you to this mobile applications development course lesson. And in this lesson, I am going to take you through the Android device orientation. And with this, I'm talking about the landscape and the portrait. As we all know, in the devices, mobile devices right now support the orientations of portrait, that is the vertical, and then the horizontal, which is the landscape orientations. So we can also implement those orientations in our mobile applications. So there are very many events in an Android application that are handled automatically by the application framework. But we can choose to handle these events by ourselves, that is by use of the Java code. And one of the events that we can handle using the Java codes is the configuration events. And one kind of the configuration events that occurs when I turn my phone vertically, that is the portrait, and when I turn it horizontally, that is the landscape, is the orientation. So this is handled by the application framework by destroying the application activity and then rebuilding it again from scratch. For example, when my application is in portrait and then I want it to be in landscape, the one in portrait is going to be destroyed and then it is going to rebuild a new activity in the landscape format. So let us try to do something that concerns orientations. So right here, you realize that I have a project open and it is named orientation. Then it has the location described properly right here up. Then also I have some simple text displayed on my application, because we all know how to display texts on activities. So the text that I am displaying is change the orientation of the phone. And this is what I want to be displayed on my mobile device. So you also realize that I am working in a constraint layout, and the constraint layout, I will be using it interchangeably with the linear layouts and relative layouts. So then I also have the attributes of my text view right here. We all know how to add a text view and a button. But for this lesson, we are going to be using one component, and that is the text view. So to make our activity recognize the orientation of the phone, first of all we shall go to a file called the manifest file, and every Android application will have a manifest file. So when I go to my manifest file, it is always located in the apps folder, the app. So when I expand app, it is always the first in the apps tree. So when I come and I open it by expanding, there is an XML file named Android manifest. So when I open Android manifest, it will be opened right here. So I will come to my activity definition, the activity where I'm working, and it is called the main activity. So its definition is right here in this statement. So right here, I am going to get inside the tags, and I am going to give an attribute to this tag, and the attribute is going to be config. So when I write config, I will have a suggestion that says Android config changes. So I'll tap enter. So remember, we are aiming at orientation, so I'm going to choose orientation right here. But then also you will realize that when I change the orientation of the phone, the screen size also will change. For example, the portrait may have a bigger height than when in landscape. So we shall also have to specify also the size. So to do that, I will use what they call the pipe. I will use what they call the pipe. So to get that, I will hold my shift and on my computer it is located on the backslash key, the key where there is the backslash. So I'll press it, and this is what I'm talking about. This one here, this symbol right here, it is like a straight line. So after that I'll say screen size. So it is already suggested right here. So now I'm considering the orientation and the screen size. So this is enough for the manifest file, but it is not enough for the whole application, for the whole activity to recognize the orientation changes. So I will go to my activity.java. So in my main activity.java, you will realize that I have codes there, but these are the codes that we used some time ago to trace the activity life cycle. So I can remove them or leave them, but I will create space between them and our work. So I'll go to where my onCreate is. So after onCreate, because you know it opens from here and then closes from here, so I will get out of it, and I am going to say on configuration changed. Remember we talked about it the other side, config changed. So on configuration changed is a method, so I'm going to enter, and that method will come. When it comes, it will also bring a superclass which is called on configuration changed, and it has an object called new config. So I'll come down right here immediately after the super dot on configuration changed. So I'm going to bring my condition statement. I'm going to bring an if statement at this level, and this if, I am going to check the object that I have been given, and by the moment when I tap N, it will be suggested. So I tap enter, and when I tap enter, then I'll put a dot notation and I'll choose orientation. So I'm going to use my logical equals, because this is not this is assigning, but they are to mean equals. So, and I'll say configuration, which is right here, dot orientation portrait. I'm saying orientation portrait because in most applications it is the default orientation. So I'll press enter, and I'll get out of my conditions. So I will put the body. Remember, an if statement has a body. So when I get inside the body, I want to tell my user that if this statement is true, I want to print something. So if my statement is true, I want to tell my user that you are in the portrait view. So to do that, there are very many ways of giving user messages. For example, we can use a snack bar or a toast. A toast is something that is going to pop up on the screen, even if I close your application. Like when you close your application, it is going to remain there until its specified time elapses. But then a snack bar will appear, but if I don't want it, I can drag it away. So we shall be using these ones during the course and as we are doing our practice. So for this lesson specifically, let us use a toast message. So to do a toast message, it is already inbuilt. So when I say toast, I will have two options right here. Toast, which is from the package android.widget, and also right here down they are telling me to create a new toast. So I'm going to choose this and press enter. So they are going to give me the syntax of a toast message, and in this syntax you realize that here we have toast.makeText, then you have the context, and in this one we are talking about the activity where we are right now by saying this, and then the text that we want to display in our toast message shall be put inside here in the quotes. Then we also have the length like the time it is going to spend on the screen. So you can choose short or long. When I choose short, it is going to spend minimal time on the screen, but when I choose long, it will take some good moments on the screen. So let me choose long and I press enter. So dot show means make it visible for the user. So I'm going to put my text to be that you are in the portrait view. And then I like specifying my class where I am, which is main activity, and I will use the dot notation to separate these. So now, remember it is a condition, so we need the else part. What if the condition is not true? So what should we do? So if my condition is not true, I want, because we all know that if it is not in portrait, then it is in landscape. So I will not have to specify the configuration, dot orientation, landscape, because we know that if it is not portrait, then the else part should be landscape. So I'm just going to give it what I want it to display. So I'll just come and copy this bit of code right here. So when I get this code, I'll press Ctrl plus C to copy, and I'll go to where I want to paste it and press Ctrl plus V to paste. And then I'm going to change this to you are in landscape view. So now our application is ready to run. So this is just what we have done from here up to right here. So let us try to see how our application is going to behave on a physical device. So we shall connect our physical device here, and when we connect, we are going to, as I told you before, I am using Visor, and this Visor is helping me to project my phone on the screen. So I will press the run app button, and when I press it, it is already here, identified Android 6, so 0.0. So I'll press OK, and down here I will see my application running. Yes, right now it is launching the activity, and we can see our activity loading. And the way we had designed it, the other side, we said change the orientation of the phone. So I'll hold my phone and I am going to change the orientation. So when I turn the orientation to landscape, it will tell me that you are in landscape view with that toast message. And then let me make it visible. I'll drag it to the center of my screen. So when I take it back to my portrait, it will tell me that you are in portrait view with that toast message right there down. So my activity can trace what I'm trying to do, and it can tell that I'm in portrait or landscape. So when I take it back again, you realize that it will still recognize it and say you are in the portrait view. So you can keep playing around with this code. You can keep adding in everything that you want to add in, and that is how we learn. So now that we have learned the orientation, and there are very many other things that we are going to learn apart from this orientation. So I thank you for your attention, and I call upon your more attention in the next coming lessons. Thank you so much.